Hello YouTube, welcome back to my workbench, and this time we're continuing with coupling converters, which I've designed, manufactured and sell myself. Obviously I'm all about sort of saving a bit of money, maybe keeping some old stock going for a little while, if you don't have enough money to say upgrade to a newer spec of RTR, wagon or carriage. This one is all about Bulleid carriages. Now I've got 8 Bulleid carriages, the older style. Obviously there's a new one coming out sometime in the next 5 years, I think, from Bachmann, but of course you'll be spending probably 200, maybe £300 on a set of carriages if you're buying 8, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to upgrade these carriages at some point with some etched brass sides and ends, etc., the Comet sides and ends, and I want to keep the running frame but update the running frame so I can use Kadees or different types of closed coupling systems like Hunt or something else like that. But of course all these older carriages have moulded couplings, and you can see here the 2 types. This is the older style with a slightly smaller D-type coupling, and on this one you can see the moulded on slimmer line tension lock. Now these are good and all, but the problem is obviously when you have a set of them they all expand and contract as the carriages slow down. You can sort of reduce that slightly if you put bellows on the end or corridor connectors, but of course the gap still remains between the 2 carriages, which is nearly about 10 or 12 mil. So I've gone back on my CAD program and designed these. So these are the new coupling converters for Bulleid Bogies, but also they fit the Queen Mary brake, which I have as well, which has this type, but you can also buy them with this type as well, the newer type. And these take a little bit more work and they're a bit more involved, but you can then fit any type of NEM pocket type coupling, so it does help a lot. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I've done earlier. So we have the older moulded type, you can see underneath. Then you've got the converted bogie, so this is still the same bogie but with the converter on. So you can see here the coupling converter has a U channel, and that wraps around the sort of front where the old coupling used to be. So the old coupling's been cut off, it's been filed flat, and what you'll have to do is make a sort of U channel or a rectangular channel in the center of your bogie front, and just a small amount of glue in the channels, then press it in to fit. So this will take a Kadee 19 or an 18, but I think it's safe to be a 19, and these work quite well. I haven't had any problems, and I've pretty much fitted all of these to my Bulleid carriages now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to walk you through how to do the conversion on a bogie, old or new. They're pretty much the same. There's no difference really how to convert them, but it'll just talk you through the marking up, cutting out. It's about a 10 to 15 minute job. Obviously I'll cut it down for this, but it's pretty straightforward, and also you can still get spares of these bogies if you wish, if you make a mistake or if they're damaged or whatever. So I'll start talking you through how to convert one of these Bulleid bogies. So step 1 is to remove the bogie from the carriage. All you'll need is a Phillips screwdriver for this part, so you just take that out. And obviously you can see the 2 differences. You've got the slim one here and the slightly older medium style D-type coupling. This has obviously got a spring in it, so before I progress any further I need to take that out. So just try and hook it and get it out. There we go, so that's come out now. This will then drop out. go, so that's come out of there. So that is now clear to be cut and removed. So stage 2 on this is quite simple. Nice sharp pair of cutters or a sharp craft knife. All you do is you just trim it off. Nice and simple. Of course this will need filing down a little bit later on. There we go, that's quite flush already. So that one's cut off. And you cut that one off in the same style, cut that off, file it down, so it's ready for the next bit. Now I'm not going to go any further on this one, just because I'm going to use it as an example later on from somewhere else. Okay, so I've cleaned up the front of the bogie, and I've also marked out where the slot is going to go. Now, if you've got a vernier gauge, this is slightly easier. That's because you can mark where it is and set it to a height and then score across the plastic. So what you need to do is have 3mm high along the top, and then it's about 5.8 wide. Now what I usually do, just to make sure it fits and it's the right size, is I sort of line a pocket up between the 2 points, and it sort of centralizes, as you can see, and then you use a sharp instrument, say a knife or whatever, and just score and mark either side of the pocket, so that gets your width. So as you can see, I've already done that, hopefully on the camera. If I shine it into the light, you can see I've marked out where it's going to go. So to cut that out, what I suggest is using a Dremel. You can even use one with a cutting disc if you're brave, or something like this, just to cut it out. Now of course it will melt because it's injection molded plastic. When it gets hot it goes molten. Of course you can file it as well. What I would recommend is taking out the lead set of wheels so you don't damage those. So I'll just get those out now. Now what I'll say as well is this plastic, because it's quite old, some of them is quite brittle, so it will split here every now and again. But that's not a problem, because the pocket will bring it back together, if you like, because it will hold it all together. Now the beam, a lot of people will probably be asking what bogies does it fit. Now if your beam here is thick to a measurement of 1.8, so this is 1.8mm thick, this pocket will go around it. That's what the channel is width-wise in here. So that will wrap around this. So if your bogies on your older stock are molded like this, and you can just trim them off like I've shown you before and do the marking out, then that will fit. I've heard replica bogies, they'll also fit as well on the tests that we've done, and people find this quite straightforward. So what I'll do is I will cut that out and be back in a minute or two. Okay, so after about 5 or 10 minutes on this bogie, we now have an opening on here, so you can see the opening I've made. So that will hopefully now fit the coupling converter. Now as I say, it's always best to keep checking and making sure it's nice and flush and sat right up against the underside of this beam. So it's quite important to clean this slot up with a needle file, square one, so you can get into the corners, and just to check it all fits nicely. It will hold itself there. There you go. So that's all fitted. You just need to add some glue. Now if you've got a Kadee height checker, so you can check the height of your Kadee when it's fitted, please do so. I have one at the moment on loan from a friend of mine, so I can check the Kadee fits nicely and is at the right height. So let's go and check that now before I glue it in. Okay, so on my piece of test track you can see the Kadee height checker. It's a bit saggy, but it will do. So I fitted a 19 Kadee on this bogie, so we're just going to check it for height. I don't know about you, but it looks pretty good to me. So I am now happy with the level. I will then glue the coupling converter in. And it's also worth noting as well, maybe put a little bit of oil on the axle ends of the wheels if you take them in and out, just so if they start squeaking, at least you've serviced them, cleaned them, etc. Okay, so let's fit the coupling converter. So super glue, small amount in the channels, doesn't need to be very much, bit at the top just in case. It's only a very small amount you need to put in here because it runs quite well down to the end. Okay, so there's a small amount of glue in there, longest part of the pocket pointing outwards and a shorter one behind, so just slot it into place. There we go, nice tight fit. Just hold that down for a second, just make sure it's all stuck in. So there we go. Might just put a little bit of glue around the top just to hold it in, but at the moment that will now dry, right height, right level, and ready to go. Alright, so the bogie is back in place. It's been refixed with its screw, and as you can see the coupling converter is in place. So all I need to do is fit a Kadee or your specified coupling if you wish. There we go, as simple as that. So now that is ready to go back on the layout with the other Bulleid carriages with a slightly reduced gap between the two of them. So there we are, it's all fitted together, and as you can see, right level, right height, etc. So in general, these coupling converters with the Kadees, they actually bring down the gap between the carriages from about 9mm to 6mm, so it's a reduction of about 3mm, which kind of helps with the gap between the two. So it helps, and also you can choose whatever coupling you wish to put on them. Hope this helps, and look out for them. They will be available through my Facebook page rather than eBay for now. If you're interested, drop me a line, links in the description, and see you again on another video.